Hello, everyone. We are in week 2 now. So as you can see, in week 2, we're doing some grammar stuff, and we're also going to have a journal prompt. Your journal entry is due by this coming Saturday, September 5th, by 11:59 p.m. via email. So you can type it up as a Word or Google Doc and just email it to me. You can just type it into the email, whatever you prefer to do. But it is due by 11:59 p.m. on Saturday, September 5th. So, we're also going to be doing a little bit of grammar today. So if you come into Blackboard, course content, then you have your weeks here. We're in week 2, and this will all be available at 8 a.m., including this lecture, which will be at the bottom here, or I may have it up at the top. I don't know. But it will be available at 8 a.m. Tomorrow morning, which is Saturday. No, tomorrow morning, which is Sunday. So we're going to be going over this PowerPoint. I'm going to talk to you about your homework. But first, I want to talk to you about your journal. So normally when I do journals, we read something or we watch a TED Talk and we talk about it in class. And then you have to write 21 lines, basically just talking about what you think about what we watched or any of that. So instead of doing that this semester, I wanted to keep it a little more simple than that because we can't have a discussion. So I was thinking, and I did, some Pinterest scrolling. I was like, I don't know what I want their journal to be. And then I started thinking, I was scrolling Facebook, which it's really never a good idea. But there is so much going on in our world. There is so much unrest. We just had a young lady in Newport who was murdered recently. There's a lot of racial unrest with the Black Lives Matter movement and the Defund the Police movement. And I think sometimes we get, and we really should. We should be true to our values, and we should be willing to speak up for what we believe in. But with so many things that are happening, and especially this murder that was in the Newport Jonesboro area, she was younger than me. Sydney Sutherland was, and so that really and she was just out for a jog, and I walk my dog around the neighborhood all the time, so it really hit home for me, and I started college up in that area, so. It really hit home for me. So I was just thinking about that, and I was getting really bogged down. And then Ann Presley, which was a reporter in Little Rock, who was murdered. Her birthday just came up a couple days ago, and they lit up the bridge in pink for her. And so I've been thinking a lot about that kind of thing, and it's been really it's been depressing. So this week I was trying to focus on things that I'm grateful for, because with this pandemic and everything that's going on, it's really easy to get bogged down and upset about all manner of things. So I was really trying to focus on positivity and thinking about things that I'm grateful for. So your journal prompt for this week is to list 4 things you're grateful for and why you're grateful for those things. So you can write it in list form. You can go, 1, 2, 3, but it should be in complete sentences. So, for example, I give you one here. It says, 1, I'm grateful for my husband because he is extremely supportive and is always willing to help me out in any way that he can. And then I would go on to list the second thing. I would say, 2, I'm grateful for this because blah, 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 blah. So I'm listing them, but I'm doing it in complete sentences, which is what I want you to do. And this is due by this Saturday, September 5th, like I have said repeatedly. So yeah, that's all I want you to do this week for this journal. List 4 things that you're grateful for and why you're grateful for those things. And they can be anything, I say that. I do want to go ahead and tell you I am a mandatory reporter. So if you are talking about how you're grateful for, cocaine because it helps you stay up all day and all night, I have to tell somebody about that. If you tell me that you're grateful for your boyfriend because he he beat you last week, but he only hit you twice this week. I have to tell somebody that. So if you are using drugs, if you're being abused, I have to tell somebody about that. So don't tell me those things. Of course, you can tell me about, alcohol, provided you're over 21. But, use of hard drugs or abuse, I have to tell somebody about that. So just keep that in mind. But you can pretty much tell me about anything that you're grateful for. So let's see. Let's get started on our grammar PowerPoint. So I know grammar is y'all's most favoritist thing. It just is, right? Everybody loves grammar. Well, I'm going to try to make it a little bit easier for y'all. So here is my grammar review. And we're going to talk about the 3 big things first. Sentence fragments, run-on sentences, and confusing words. So I tend to write in sentence fragments. And so first let me back it up. So what's a sentence? Okay. A sentence always contains a subject and a verb. And they must contain both or they're not a complete sentence. So for example, Sally left about 20 minutes ago. So we got a subject, which is Sally. We've got a verb, which is left. Now remember, verbs are actions. So run, ran, jump, hit, anything that's an action is pretty much a verb. Sentences also communicate a complete thought. If they don't, then it's not a sentence. So Sally left. That's a complete thought, right? Shortest sentence in the Bible is Jesus wept. Okay, we got a subject, we got a verb, and it's a complete thought. Now, if I said something like, Sally about 20 minutes ago, I'm missing a verb. That would be a sentence fragment. If I said left about 20 minutes ago, then it's like, okay, who the heck are we talking about? Because I don't have a subject. Okay, so sentences must contain a subject, a verb, and be a complete thought. Okay, so sentence fragments either don't have a subject, they don't have a verb, or they're not a complete thought. And that's what makes them a fragment rather than a complete sentence. So my example is saw that it was time to leave. So what happens a lot, especially with me, is that I'm typing. I'm typing away, da-da-da-da-da, and then I'll put a period, and then I'm like, I want to make something stand out in the sentence, so I repeat it in a fragment form and just sort of tack it on. And I can't do that because it's a fragment. You always have to be paying attention. Fragments have to have a subject and they have to have a verb. So, for example, a lot of one of my degrees is in journalism. A lot of times when I was writing stories, I would say like if I was writing about like an event or something, I would be like, no one came to this very important event, and then period. No one, period. Can't do that. No one. That's not a complete sentence. It's a sentence fragment. Which, you can get away with some things in creative writing and journalism that you can't get away with in English. It's formal English, but you can't get away with that here. So that's what a sentence fragment is. So how do we fix a sentence fragment? Well, first we need to decide if the sentence is missing a subject or a verb, or if it just doesn't communicate a complete thought. And then we rewrite the sentence to contain the subject or verb, or so that it communicates a complete thought clearly. So example, before we go to soccer practice. Is that a complete sentence? No, right? Because before we go to soccer practice, what? Before we go to soccer practice, we're going to take a nap. Before we go to soccer practice, we're going to eat. Before we go to soccer practice, you have to clean your room. We need something to make that a complete thought. We've got a subject, we've got a verb, go, but we don't have a complete thought. So, more examples. Until Mr. Walker has his coffee. We've got a subject, Mr. Walker. We've got a verb, has. But it's not a complete thought, right? Until Mr. Walker has his coffee, he's grumpy. The puppy behind the store window. So in this one, we have a subject, the puppy, but we don't have a verb. the puppy behind the store window is your whole subject. It's a really long subject, but it is your subject. So the puppy behind the store window barks a lot. The puppy behind a store window needs a home. Barks and needs would both be your verb there. Fought long and hard. So we have a verb in this one, fought, but we don't have a subject. Who fought long and hard? The team fought long and hard. The class fought long and hard. Muhammad Ali fought long and hard. Okay? Which is weird considering my fear of heights. So in this one, we don't have a subject, we don't have a verb, and we don't have a complete thought. We have a subject and a verb, but this, well, we do sort of. Considering is a verb, and my fear is kind of a subject. But it's not, it's the subject of the fragment. It's not the subject of the whole sentence. The subject of the whole sentence is what's weird. So what is weird? You know, I like to skydive, which is weird considering my fear of heights. So your subject is really I, and your verb is really like. Does that make sense? Possibly, possibly not. It's hard without seeing all your beautiful shining faces to tell, but that's what it is. You're looking for the subject of the whole sentence, not just the fragment. Okay? So run-on sentences. People love to write in run-on sentences. So a run-on sentence is two complete thoughts, which that's all a sentence is two complete thoughts. So a run-on sentence is two complete thoughts that are mushed together, sometimes with a comma. So I love to write. I would write every day if I could. Okay, so we're looking here. I love to write. I would write every day if I could. So we have two subjects, I, and two verbs, love and would. So that immediately tells us that that's a run-on sentence. So we need something right here, after right and before I. Now we can't use a comma because a comma is not strong enough to combine two sentences. So we could use a period. Or we could use a semicolon. A semicolon is the one with a period and a comma underneath it. And a semicolon can connect two thoughts that are related. We'll get to that in just a second. But the important thing to know here is that we have to make these two sentences separate. We can't just mush them together. It doesn't work like that. That's a run-on sentence. So we could use a conjunction. Which is the acronym fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. You could split the sentence up into two sentences by putting a period. If the sentences share a related thought, you could combine them with a semicolon. And here's your little semicolon right there. So I love to write. I would write every day if I could. Okay, so let's look at our first option. We could add a conjunction. Okay, can we do that? Yes. So I would love to write, and I would write every day if I could. I would love to write, so I would write every day if I could. Okay, that works. Or I could split the sentence up into two sentences. Okay, I love to write, period. I would write every day if I could. Okay, that works. If the sentences share a related thought. Okay, well, they do because they're both talking about writing, right? So I could stick a semicolon in there and it would be perfectly fine. I would tell them not to do that, comma, they can't always get away with that behavior. So, is that a run-on sentence? Yes, right? I would tell them not to do that. Okay, that's a complete sentence. We got a subject, we got a verb, it's a complete thought. They can't always get away with that behavior. Okay, that's a complete sentence, subject, verb, complete thought. So how do we fix it? Because we know we can't just leave this comma here because this comma is not strong enough, okay? So we could do a fanboy, okay? I would tell them not to do that. For, they can't always get away with that behavior. We could also use because, right? I would tell them not to do that because they can't always get away with that behavior, which because is a conjunction, so we could use that. I would tell them not to do that, semicolon. They can't always get away with that behavior. Yes, because the ideas are related. And then I could just break it up and say I would tell them not to do that, period. They can't always get away with that behavior. Okay. I'm still trying to get free. My leg is caught in the fence. Okay. That's a subject. Trying is a verb. My leg, subject, caught. Okay, so you got two subjects and two verbs. So we know this is a run-on sentence. So I'm still trying to get free. Okay, that's a complete thought. Period. My leg is caught in the fence. Perfect. We could do a period. We could do a semicolon. We could do but. I'm still trying to get free, but my leg is caught in the fence. Our parents were friends. We hung out together. Okay, same thing. That comma is not strong enough, so we got to either do a semicolon, a period, or a conjunction. Our parents were friends, so we hung out together. Our parents were friends because we hung out together. That changes the meaning of the sentence, but if that's what you're trying to get across, that would work too. Okay, so that's sentence fragments and run-ons. Okay, so this one, now we're into confusing words. We're going to talk about each of these in depth. Okay. We're, where, and we're. Okay. We're, W-E-R-E, is the past tense of are. So we were at the store. So if you can substitute are in there, you know that it should be W-E-R-E. We are at the store. Okay. Well, then we were at the store. Where, W-H-E-R-E, refers to place. Place and only place. So you and Lakeisha are going where on Saturday? W-E''re is a contraction, and a contraction just means that it's a word that has that apostrophe in it that shows that you have taken letters out. So we're is a contraction that consists of we are. So the way to check that is to say, instead of saying we're going to the movies on Saturday, say we are going to the movies on Saturday. And if that's right, then it should be W-E''re. Okay. There, and there. There, T-H-E-R-E, refers to a place, just like W-H-E-R-E refers to a place. So there, the cookies are over there. There, T-H-E-I-R, refers to possession. That is their book, their car. If it belongs to them, then you need their. So, oops, typo. T-H-E-Y''re is a contraction consisting of they and are. So they're sitting in section B. They are sitting in section B. You would check that just like you would check we're, W-E''re. Affect versus effect. This one gets me. I have a lot of trouble with this one. So affect refers to changing or making a difference to some result. Effect refers to bringing about some result. So, cause and effect. So the way I remember mostly is the bomb affected the city. The effect of the bomb caused massive destruction. Okay? That one's a little confusing, but just try to think, if it's an action, then it's affected, and if it's a result, it's an effect. Accept versus accept. A-C-C-E-P-T means to receive. So, Naomi accepted Genritz's gift. Accept means to exclude. Everyone went to Hot Springs except for Roberto. You can remember that because EX is in accept and exclude. To, and to. To, T-O, is a preposition. I'm going to send William to the store for milk. So it's kind of like a verb. Okay? It's like a helping verb. TOO is an adverb. And it's interchangeable with also. So that's how I check it. They want some cookies too. If I can put also there, they want some cookies also, then I can use to, T-O-O. Now, if I said send William also the store for milk, that doesn't make sense. So I know I need T-O. T-W-O is used when measuring or counting. Always, always, always. It's never anything else. Always when counting. There are 2 blackbirds. There are 2 tablespoons, so on and so forth. Okay, so the lesser issues. Commas. There are 8 main commas. And we're going to talk about each of them. And these are the commas that I want you to use. Always and forever. You shouldn't need any other commas. So the listing comma. This is a comma that's used to separate items in a list of 3 or more. And an item, that might refer to a noun, a verb, or an adjective phrase. Okay? So, for example, Carlos wants to visit Paris, Italy, and Germany. So our list here is Paris, Italy, and Germany. So we need Paris, comma, Italy, comma, and Germany. You always want to put a comma before your conjunction. Okay? So Carlos wants to visit Paris, comma, Italy, comma, and Germany. So if I didn't have a comma after Italy, it would seem like Italy and Germany are part of Paris instead of a list. Okay? Go to the store and get milk, comma, eggs, comma, and sugar. Freya was hungry, comma, tired, and ready to go home. Okay? That's how you use the listing comma. Comma that separate independent clauses with a conjunction. So an independent clause is simply a complete sentence. So these commas separate complete sentences when they are joined by conjunctions. And the comma always goes before the conjunction. Remember, our conjunctions are our fanboys. So I want to buy the new jacket, comma, but it is too expensive. So we have 2 complete sentences. I want to buy the new jacket. It is too expensive. We have a comma before the but, which is combining them. We can't just use a comma because the comma is not strong enough. But because we have that conjunction there, we don't have a run-on sentence. We just need that comma to help our little friend, our conjunction out here. We can go to the zoo, comma, or we can go to the movies. Okay? Some of these commas you're going to be really used to using. The lighthouse comma is used to separate dependent clauses, which is just a fancy way of saying incomplete thoughts or sentence fragments, from an independent clause. When I get older, I will be able to drive. I will be able to drive as a complete thought, right? When I get older is just tacked on there. So when I get older, comma, I will be able to drive. If you are good, comma, I will buy you a toy. So I will buy you a toy, that's a complete thought. But it's sort of, the word just went out of my head. The condition is if you're good, I'll buy you a toy. I'm not just going to buy you a toy. I love to skydive. It's a complete sentence, which is weird since I'm afraid of heights. Okay, so I love to skydive, but I'm afraid of heights. So it's just sort of, it's extra information. The oh, by the way, comma pair. Speaking of, oh, by the way. Speaking of extra information, this comma pair is married, which means they cannot be separated. They always come together. They always come in twos. So we use these commas to separate any word or phrase that's not essential to the meaning of the sentence. Kind of the same thing as over here, except here you only need 1 comma because the dependent clause comes at the beginning or the end of the sentence. Here the dependent clause comes in the middle of the sentence. So my brother is going to medical school soon. Okay, that's a complete sentence. My brother, who, oh, by the way, is 26 years old, is going to medical school soon. So we don't need to know that the brother is 26. But it's like, oh, that's relevant information. So we stick it in there with those commas because, we might need that information, but it's not essential to the meaning of the sentence. Same thing with Andy Frazier, my best friend, is going to the mall today. We don't need to know that Andy is your best friend, but, it might help us on down the road. Quotation commas. This is a comma that's used to separate a quote from the rest of the sentence. We see it all the time in things that we read. We need to buy more sugar, comma, she said. Let's go to the movies, comma, he suggested. So remember that with your quotes, your comma always goes inside the quote marks. It doesn't ever go outside of it. Introductory commas. This is a comma used to separate an introductory element from the rest of the sentence. So, yes, comma, I would like to go with you. Hi, comma, how are you? Sorry, we don't have the room. I'm really bad about starting sentences with well or so, and those are both also considered introductory elements. Commas with cities. This one we're really familiar with. We use it to separate the name of city from a country or state. So I live in Russellville, Arkansas. Let's go to Athens, Greece. My mom and dad vacationed in Cairo, Egypt last year, which if anybody's mom and dad are vacationing in Europe or Egypt or Asia or, anywhere overseas, if anyone's mom and dad are doing that regularly, I am up for adoption. Give them my phone number, let them know. Commas with dates. So we use a comma to separate the day of the week, the day of the month, and the day of the year. We're really familiar with this. My mom's birthday is December 9th, 1988. The only thing I am adding is that if you put the day of the week in front of your date, you need a comma after the day of the week. So today is Thursday, March 7th, 1956. Okay? So that concludes our grammar lesson. And this PowerPoint is on Blackboard for your perusal. It's just right here at the top. You can click on it and it will bring this up so you can look over it while you're doing your homework if you want. I thought I already had that open. I do. So here is your homework. Hang on. There we go. Here is your homework. Which it says it's a protected view. All you have to do is hit enable editing and it'll let you type on it. So on this first part, you're going to label each word group as one of the following: F for fragment, R for run-on, or C for correct. Okay? Although Mary has been my best friend. Okay, is that a complete sentence? No. So is it a fragment or is it a run-on? Well, do we have a subject? Yeah, Mary. We have a verb. Yeah, has been. Now, is it a complete thought? No. So it's a fragment. No one I know watches that television show, comma, I can't believe it. So, is that a complete sentence? It is a complete sentence, right? But it's two complete sentences. No one watches that television show is a complete sentence. I can't believe it is also a complete sentence. So here we have a run-on. Okay, that's what you're going to do for 1 through 12. Yeah. Okay, and then here we are going to correct the following run-on sentences and comma splices. Comma splice is just a fancy way of saying a run-on sentence that's connected by a comma. So really here you're just fixing the run-on sentences. Many North American cars cost less than foreign cars. However, foreign cars get better gas mileage. So, many North American cars cost less than foreign cars. So I'm going to read to the comma because, I'm thinking, okay, comma splice. Let's read to the comma and see. So, many North American cars cost less than foreign cars. However, is that a complete sentence? No, that however doesn't really belong, does it? So what if many North American cars cost less than foreign cars? Okay, that's a complete sentence. So I'm going to stick a period right after cars. However, comma, foreign cars get better mileage. Okay, that's a complete sentence. I'm done with that. Moving on. Traffic jams in major cities have gotten out of hand. Carpool should be mandatory. Okay, this one's a little bit harder. Traffic jams is a subject. In major cities have is my verb, gotten out of hand. Okay, that's a complete sentence. Period, right after hand. Carpool should be mandatory. Okay, that's a complete sentence. Done with that one. Okay, that's what you're going to do for 1 through 12. And this one you're just correcting the paragraphs. Now these I can't go over with you because there are so many different ways that you could fix these. You're just correcting run-on sentences, comma splices, fragments. You're adjusting maybe where the commas are. That's what you're doing. It's like proofreading, which you're going to be doing in class. So I give you 4 paragraphs to practice on, and just change it to where it reads correctly as far as you're concerned. That's all I want for these. So as you go through and fix this, once you're done, you need to go to Save As, and save it as your name, just your first initial and your last name, and then grammar homework. Save it as that, and then email it to me when you're done. Okay, Now, this is not due until next Saturday, so you have some time to really work on this, because I know it's kind of a long worksheet, but I'm giving you a little bit of extra time to work on it. Now, your journal entry is due by this Saturday, so just keep that in mind. Let's see. I think that's all I have to say. If you haven't told me whether you prefer to go all virtual or if you want to do virtual or if you'd rather do in person, I need to know that information. I think I've heard from most of you, but there's a few I don't think I've heard from yet. Okay? And remember, I'm not going to be down there unless you tell me you're wanting to meet. If you don't tell me, I'm not going to come, because I'm just going to assume that you're good. So if you want to meet with me to answer questions or get some extra help, that's totally fine. Just let me know. Text me, call me, send me an email. Do keep in mind that when you email me, you need to be emailing me from your UAPTC account. Due to departmental policy, we're not supposed to be emailing your personal emails. I did that at the beginning of the semester because I couldn't get a big response from people's UAPTC email, so I emailed your personal email to hopefully get a response. But for the most part, we need to keep all of our interaction on the UAPTC email. I'm trying to think. Got that. I think that's everything. Okay. So if you have questions, call me, text me, email me. Keep your calls and texts professional. Don't like use a bunch of acronyms because I don't know what they mean because I'm old. And keep them to reasonable times, because if you text me at like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to respond. If you call me, I'm not going to respond. You are probably going to wake me up, and that's going to irritate me. Or you're going to wake the dog up, and he's going to jump on the bed and wake me up. So please don't do that. But if you email me or call me or text me, just know that I'm going to get back to you as soon as I can. Normally it's pretty fast, but every once in a while it's not, because I, again, have a day job. So sometimes I'm not always there. I'm not always super available. But that's it. If you need me, let me know. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, just let me know. Don't forget about your journal entry, and I guess I will talk to you in the next video or when you reach out to me. All right, have a good week. Wash your hands, wear your masks, and I'll talk to you soon.